And we've been talking about it for a while. I finally went and did it. I went and got my Georgia weapons carry license. Sort of a bittersweet day. On one hand, I don't believe government has any right issuing licenses to carry weapons. We all have a weapons carry license. It's called the Second Amendment. That being said, though, and maybe this is cowardice on my part, I'm not willing to risk. I'm not able to take on the full might and force of the United States government at this stage, and I'm not willing to carry in violation of their. I'm not going to call them laws, because God defines laws. We'll call them regulations, and even that might be being generous. But I'm just not in a place where I can defy their dictates. Let's say that dictates. So I went and got the weapons carry license after the last church shooting in Texas. It was just time, you know. That's a little tiny small town. I know it was kind of close to, I believe, El Paso, but still, it's a little tiny small town, little tiny country church. If it could happen there, it could happen anywhere. There was the church shoot. There was another church shooting in Tennessee right before that everyone forgot all about. Yeah, there's just craziness going on everywhere. I mean, Las Vegas, obviously, we all know about, and the list goes on and on and on. And those are just the big dramatic ones. I've got something going on with my throat today. I'm not trying to talk deep in order to impress you. I got some kind of sore throat. So it was definitely time to be armed, and you've got to be wise as a serpent, as harmless as a dove. It's just wise to have that. Again, I hate that license. I almost sound like I'm trying to talk myself into this, but no, I mean, you got to obey the dictates and the arbitrary rules and whatnot until such a time as we can maybe possibly change them. And there's stuff afoot in Georgia to do that. We'll talk about it in a second. I'm getting bored. I got to pull out the gun real quick because you guys love guns, and whenever I have gun videos, you watch a bunch of them. So right now, the plan is for me to carry my Ruger Security 6, the 4-inch barrel. I know Mid-Main Music, one of our viewers who's been with us for a long time, who we really value, he feels like this is not a practical choice. He thinks it's a little too big. I would not completely disagree with him on that. Or at least I wouldn't say that is a completely unreasonable conclusion to come to. It is a service revolver. It was designed to be carried day in, day out. So it's not like ridiculously stupid with the 6-inch barrel or something. David Burden says he carries his with the 6-inch barrel. It seems like you'd almost have to be walking stiff-legged at that point. But I like the weight. I've carried this for extended periods in the woods while hunting. And you know, I've walked about a mile with it and wore it for 2 to 3 hours at a time. And I never had a problem with it at that point for those periods. So I'm gonna see how it does. This is the pistol I have. So this is the pistol I'll carry. Our resources are not such here that we can. We have a philosophy of trying to make do with what we have to begin with. But on top of that, this would possibly be the pistol I would choose anyway. I'll do a video on this shortly, maybe Sunday, maybe even. But I went looking for this pistol when I found it, when I got it. It's the one I wanted. I have a hand injury that I sustained at work that makes the control of these two bottom fingers kind of dicey. I mean, I can do it, but I have to focus on it, which leads me to sometimes limp wrist semi-auto, which means I tend to get jams with a semi-auto, which means for me, a revolver just makes sense. I'm sure that that's something with training could be overcome, but I'm just not comfortable with it. On top of that, I really like revolvers. I've always liked revolvers, so the circumstances kind of fits my inclination anyway. The holster for now that I'm using, and remember, resources are limited. We tend to try to make do with what we have, and what I had as far as a holster goes was an old cowboy boot. That is correct. I had an old cowboy boot. So I took my old cowboy boot and I turned it into a holster. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I know how it looks. It looks like something a kid wore in the 1950s to play cowboy and Indian with. It's actually fairly effective. It's one of the boys is coming up and he's enjoying life. It's actually I'll probably do more about this holster at some point too. But if you look real close, I may be too close. You can actually see the cowboy boot in there. But it holds well. If someone tried to pull the revolver out from behind me, this would grab it. But it comes out straight up pretty easy. This was my first attempt at any kind of leather work, and it took me a long time to do it. And if I had to do it over, there's things I'd do different. But I'm pretty pleased with this. It's pretty effective. It's not the long-term solution, but it's certainly what's going to get me started. And that's, I've never carried a pistol before in any kind of capacity. In the Marine Corps, I had a rifle. I've never carried on a day-in, day-out basis. So I am going to learn how to weapons carry, or everyday carry, they call it, EDC, everyday carry. This is going to be an experiment for me and a learning process, and we'll see where we go. So this is what's going to get me started and get me moving in a direction, instead of sitting around wringing my hands waiting for the resources to fall out of the sky. We're gonna go with what we made, even if what we have is jacked up homemade redneck, literally rawhide. But anywho, that's kind of who we are and who we're shooting for anyway. So that's the start. My intention, I'm probably going to end up, at least initially, open carry, and not because I've got some intellectual or philosophical leanings that way anyway. I think every man should be armed. I should have been armed for all these years. It should be assumed a man's armed. So at that point, concealed carry becomes superfluous. That is not the case these days, and I know a lot of you guys make some good arguments for concealed carry not being conspicuous, not being that number one target, not having someone go for your gun. I think there's a debate to be had there, and there's sometimes practical concerns like that have to trump the philosophical 30,000 feet view. Like I'm a big picture guy. Details bog me down. I get lost in details real quick. But I'm going to start with the open carry, or at least a semi-open carry, just because it's easy. It's what I have. It's what I can do. It's winter here. It's cold. It's cooler. I'll be wearing, it's never cold here, but it's cooler, so I'll be wearing, jackets and longer, bulkier shirts that would overhang it. So it's really probably going to be a hybridized, version in between there. Concealed carry / open carry. We'll see what comes out of it. Like I said, I'm just starting this. I do not know what it'll look like when it's all said and done. This has already gone too far, but I do want to say, for those of you in Georgia, there is a bill up in front of the legislature down there. I don't remember if it's passed the House and is waiting on the Senate, or if it hasn't passed the House yet, or what. It's called House Bill 156. I'm going to do some research on it, and we're going to have a video specifically on House Bill 156. It's constitutional carry. Big deal, needs to happen. If you're in Georgia, we need to be holding all these people running around right now asking for our votes. We need to be holding their feet to the fire on this constitutional carry. I believe they're running for governor right now. They've started to fire up the governor's race. They've started to fire up the Secretary of State's race. And a few others. You're starting to see some ads and some signs and some Facebook whatnots. If you get a chance to interact with these lawmakers, I would ask that you ask them about HB 156 and constitutional carry. If I had my druthers, they would pass constitutional carry and they would not do one other thing. Not one other thing. The best thing that can happen for freedom and prosperity and security is for the government to just stop and not. Government shutdowns are the best thing that can happen to the country right now. Maybe not the best thing, one of the best things. So there we go, guys. Really excited. Looking forward to being a responsible citizen now. Looking forward to what, let's face it, nothing's going to come out of it, because when you're prepared, the bad things don't happen, Anyway, just excited. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. It's something I should have done a long time ago. Now that I'm finally doing it, I can say You need to be doing it. But obviously I can't get too pushy since I've just started. So there we go. Give me your ideas. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you carry, how you carry it, what you've learned. If you have experience carrying a full-size service revolver, and like I said, we'll talk about this more in another video. I've been planning to do a video about this revolver specifically for a long time. I love this revolver for a host of reasons. Well, I'm about to go off on a tangent. So there we go. But leave us some comments and let us know what you think, man. Thank you.